You know, have you ever been in a conversation that started out totally fine, but then somehow just spiraled into a complete mess of misunderstanding and, frankly, disrespect? Well, today we're going to break down one of those exact moments. We're going to look at the anatomy of how a really simple disagreement can go completely off the rails. Okay, so it all starts right here with this fundamental clash. On one side, you've got a simple request. Hey, more words doesn't mean you're saying more. And on the other side, the defense is, it's not about too many words, it's about too many meanings. See, one person is hearing noise while the other is trying to express something incredibly complex. This looks small, right? But this is the tiny spark that's about to ignite a massive communication fire. Let's watch how it happens. So first up, we get a clash of words. Before they even get to the real topic, the conversation is already about the way they're talking to each other. And that's the first crack in the foundation right there. The first speaker just comes right out with it. They feel like the actual point is getting buried. And you can hear the frustration in words like verbose verbiage, right? They're not just confused, they feel like the language itself is the problem, that it's hiding the meaning instead of revealing it. And boom, here's where the critique really turns into an accusation. It's not just this is confusing, it's you are making this confusing. The implication is that this is a choice, that something simple is being deliberately wrapped up in way too many words. So what's behind this demand for simplicity, this call for compression? Well, to really get it, we need to try and understand where that first speaker is coming from, what their argument for simplicity is all about. Okay, so this person's worldview is super practical. You can see it right here. It's all about action. Find a church, make it better, use discernment. From this point of view, all this complex language isn't just confusing, it's actually getting in the way of what matters, which is doing something. For them, simple truths don't need fancy packaging. They need to be acted on. But now we gotta flip to the other side of the coin, because what was being called too many words wasn't just a stylistic choice. Nope. It was actually an attempt to get out these deep, complex, and really powerful emotions that were driving the whole thing. The first raw emotion we find bubbling right under the surface is contempt. And it's not necessarily for the other person. It's for arguments that feel like they're missing the entire point. Wow. This right here, this reveals so much, doesn't it? The speaker isn't trying to sound smart. They're wrestling with huge personal and spiritual battles. And all those words, they're a direct result of feeling like everyone else is debating the color of the curtains while the house is on fire. And the second major emotion fueling this? Just pure frustration. A really deep frustration with communication that feels shallow, like it's not making any kind of real connection. And this quote just nails it. The conversation feels like an insider's club, just chatting with people who already get it. But look at the desire here. I want to reach outsiders. The complex language isn't meant to keep people out. It's a desperate attempt to break out of the echo chamber and say something real and authentic. And this is the moment we realize. This whole argument about words, it was never really about words at all. It was a proxy war. It was a stand-in from much, much deeper philosophical conflict that was simmering just beneath everything. And here it is, the absolute heart of the disagreement. Substance versus form. Are we talking about the why, the internal core truth of a belief? Or are we talking about the how, the external stuff, the rituals, the practices? Turns out they weren't even having the same debate. This table just lays it all out, these two warring worldviews. The second speaker, the one with too many words, is living in that substance column on the left. It's all about authenticity, unity, the core beliefs. For them, the form on the right, going to church, the rituals, that's all secondary. But the first speaker sees real value in that form, in the practical actions. They were talking right past each other because one was defending the why, while the other was attacking the how. So let's recap. You've got a clash of styles, a storm of unexpressed feelings, and this deep, unseen philosophical divide. When you mix all of that into one conversation, what do you get? Well, you get an inevitable breakdown, where respect is the very first thing to go. And this isn't random. It follows a pretty predictable four-step path to disaster. Step 1, the clash of styles. That leads to step 2, all those intense, unspoken feelings come to the surface. And because of that, step 3, the real message, that whole substance versus form debate gets totally lost. Which brings us to the final stop, step 4, both people feel dismissed and disrespect completely takes over. And yeah, this is rock bottom. The conversation is no longer about ideas. Not at all. It's just a raw personal attack now. You've got accusations flying, feelings are hurt, and any chance of a real discussion is just gone. You know, what's so powerful about this whole exchange is that it doesn't get a neat, tidy ending. There's no apology, no resolution. It just stops. And that abrupt end leaves us with a really critical question. This is it, the last line. On one hand, it's a statement of faith, but on the other, it's a complete shutdown of the entire conversation. There's no more room to talk, no attempt to understand, just a final word and an exit. The communication has totally and utterly failed. And that leaves us here with this question. When a conversation breaks down like this, who's responsible? Is it on the speaker to be more clear, to simplify their message? Or is it on the listener to work a little harder, to try and hear the emotion and the substance that might be hiding behind a bunch of complicated words? There's definitely no easy answer, and it's a question worth asking ourselves the next time we feel a conversation starting to go bad.